Hi, this is Stacy with Lily Bean Crafts by Stacy. Welcome back. And if it's your first time, thanks for stopping by. So I was asked by a client to surprise her with a Valentine's Day tumbler. So I'm going to show you the process of how I came up with the idea for the tumbler that I made for her. So I am starting off with a 24-ounce plump for the Tipsy Magnolia, and I've already spray painted it and prepped it and everything. And I'm going in with a couple of different pop of color paints here. I am using a couple of different chip brushes, and I'm just going in, and right now I'm just laying the base of kind of how I want the color tone to be. I knew that I wanted it to be pinks and reds, and it's going to be a peekaboo, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But for this first layer, I'm just covering up the white, and then once I have this all applied, I'm going to go ahead and put this off to the side and let it dry. So the pop of color colors that I'm using for this is Cotton Candy, Red, and Hot Pink. And now what I'm doing is I'm just going onto my plate and I'm just placing a couple of them. I'm going to use 3 different chip brushes because I want to make sure that I'm not mixing the colors completely. So now I'm just going to go ahead and just start mixing and matching the chip brushes and just kind of laying down all of the colors just so that it has like that distressed look. I didn't want it all to blend together and just be one solid color, so I really wanted to make sure that I had a couple of different variations throughout the entire tumbler. So I am just going to go ahead and take my time and just do this throughout. And then once it's done, I'm going to take one of the chip brushes, the one that's like 2 inches, the bigger one, and I'm just going to go ahead and very carefully just brush over the entire tumbler and kind of blending the colors together and making it come up with this beautiful blend. If you haven't done so yet, check out my Lily Bean Crafters Community Facebook group. I will have it linked in the description. Here's where I'm just going to go ahead in and just blend all of the colors together. I'm just swiping it up and down all the way around the tumbler so that I get this nice blend of colors. And then I took it outside and I spray painted it really good with my matte clear spray paint. You want to make sure that you seal pop of color paints before you put epoxy on them or they will bubble up on you. So now I'm going in with 10 mLs of my Flynn Sisters Fast Set Epoxy. I'm going to go ahead and let this spin for 4 hours, and then we'll start working on the Peekaboo. And I went on to create a Fabrica and I found these distressed hearts. I wanted it to continue on with the distressed look. So I will go ahead and link in the description the hearts that I used. I did have a little bit of trouble with some of the thinner hearts. So I was going to do a bunch of different styles of hearts on here, and the thicker one was the one that worked with the stencil vinyl. This is a stencil vinyl that I got from Amazon, and I got a lot of it, like 15 feet, and I'm not a fan of it. So once this is gone, I'm going to be going back over to the Cricut brand. But so here is a template. I went on to my Cricut and I created a template of how I wanted it to play out. I wanted to do it in advance because once I lay this and spray paint it, I can't make changes to it. So I just wanted to get a visual of how it was going to look before I started it. So if you need to, you can go back and pause right there. I just took a square and made it black and made it the size of the tumbler itself. And then I just laid out on there how I wanted the hearts to look. And now I'm just using it and just kind of following it as a guideline to place everything and get it all to work together seamlessly. And now that it's all on, I'm going to take it outside into my garage and spray paint it. This is just a black spray paint that's matte from Color Shot spray paints. And I went ahead and I let that dry for just a little bit. And now I'm just removing the Peekaboo really carefully. At this point in time, I wasn't sure if I was going to put any glitter on it or not. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't scratch up any of the black spray paint. So I'm just really carefully removing all of that. And then once I have this all removed, I'm going to go ahead and get some more epoxy on it. Now I'm going in with another 10 mLs of my fast set epoxy. I'm going to go ahead and let this spin for 4 hours and then move on to the next step. I did have a few pieces of the stencil vinyl that didn't come off that I couldn't tell because it's spray painted black. So I just took my little tweezers and went in and pulled that out. And then I'm going to continue on with making sure that everything is removed, pop any bubbles, and let this dry. And then once this is done, I decided that I wanted to put a little bit of sparkle to it. But I didn't want to do like a black glitter, anything like that. I didn't want to cover up any of these hearts. So I took my Grace Microfine, which is always my go-to when I want to add some sparkle to it. I just added that to another 10 mLs. I didn't go crazy with it. I didn't want it to be overwhelming over the black. I just wanted it to have a nice little shine and shimmer to it. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put this onto the tumbler and let this spin for another 4 hours. And then we're going to add some more vinyl to it. And I just wanted to put the word love on it. Something so simple, but something so adorable. Now, the font that I'm using for this is called Salty Feathers. I found it on Dafont, which I will go ahead and link for you. It is one of my top 5 fonts that I use whenever I'm working with projects. So I did buy the font to make sure that I had the licensing for it. And I just use that, took the word love, sized it up a couple of different sizes, and then now I'm just kind of seeing how the placement's going to go. And I'm just using my template again that like I said, I made up on my Cricut, and I have my computer next to me, and I'm just going to go ahead and lay all of these down in the spots that I thought would work the best next to the hearts. Is a really, really thin font that I work with, so I make sure that I reverse weed all of the lettering. It just comes off so much easier that way. Trying to do a regular weed with these skinny little lines would just be completely aggravating. So I definitely recommend doing a reverse weed if you do work with this font. And now that I've got it where I want it to be, I'm going to go ahead and get another 10 mLs of my Fast Set Epoxy on here, get this all sealed, let this spin for 4 hours, and then we're going to start working on the glitter butt. And I just removed the bottom of the tumbler so that I can start working on the glitter butt. I took from Pop of Color paints the color Ballet, and I just went ahead and took a paintbrush and painted the bottom of it just to make it a little bit easier. I'm going in with a combination of my UV resin that I just get from Amazon and Bashful from Rae Creations. And then once I had that on, I decided that I wanted to add a chunky to it. So I also added some Hopeless Romantic. It's kind of like a 50-50 split of the two different glitters. And I'm just going to go ahead and start by doing the outer rim, getting this completely covered. I'm going to be doing it on the inside too, so if a little bit of it bleeds into the center, it's totally fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this around the entire perimeter of it and then get it in my UV lamp for a good minute. Now I'm going in with the same mixture right into the center of it. And I do mix up the glitters separately with the UV resin. I don't like to let UV resin sitting for too long because it has a tendency to start drying and thickening up because any UV lights that come in the room are going to start working on it. So I hit it with my torch. I let it go for 1 minute. I did put another coat on there just to get it completely covered. I did want to keep that inner circle. I just liked the way that it looked. Now I'm going in with a coat of my UV resin right over it, checking it with my light to make sure that I have it completely covered to the edge, hitting it with the torch, and then the glitter butt is done. And now I'm going in with my final coats of epoxy. This here I had just sanded the tumbler, which was actually kind of interesting because it gave it a matte look, but we didn't go with that. This is 10 mLs of my Flynn Sisters Artist Cure resin, which is what's going to give it that amazing shine. And I'm going to let this spin for 8 to 10 hours and then it will be all done. Sometimes it's so wonderful when a client is like, just make me whatever you have a vision of. I know I'm going to love it. And I really feel like starting off with the Pop of Color paints and doing the distressed look with the way that I painted it with the chip brush really made such a huge difference because it's not just one solid color underneath. It almost looks like a pink and red wood grain, which is exactly what I was hoping for. And this is what the final product looked like. I absolutely love it. My client loves it. I'm so glad I added that little bit of shimmer. It just needed it. That glitter butt, it's just like chef's kiss to it. And if you like this tutorial, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see everybody again next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.